And this actually is the 50th quarter since inception of the bank in 2004. I would like to start by actually sharing some important numbers with you. First and foremost, our single biggest strength as an institution is our human capital. I'm very pleased to report to you that we have crossed 20,000 people as of March 31st, 2017, which in itself is a very significant number. And these are 20,000 plus yes bankers with an average age of 31 years, which includes my age of approximately 60 as well. I'm also pleased to advise you that we have touched 1,000 branches on this magical date, 31st March 2017, which to us means a lot because it has taken relentless effort by our in-house teams and our external partners to be able to span the entire country with 1,000 branches spread over all 29 Indian states and all 7 union territories. Equally, we have crossed 2 lakh crores in total assets. We are slightly above 2,15,000 crores, which by itself is a very important number because with this number north of 2 lakh crore total assets, we like to believe that we are now emerging into a large bank. There is another important milestone I'd like to share with you is we were the first bank to open a branch in Gandhinagar, the international banking unit in Gandhinagar, in October of 2015, so approximately a year and a half ago. And more recently, as of end of March 2017, we have crossed $1 billion in assets booked at this first offshore banking center in our country. This is a really delightful moment. I want to go on a little bit more to share with you some of our other important milestones. We crossed 35% CASA, first time in the life cycle of the bank. In fact, we ended the quarter at 36.3% CASA, which is an increase of 8.2% over last year and a sequential increase of 3% over December 2016. And if I look at the last 6 months, we have actually, from September 30th, 2016 till March 31st, 2017, we have increased CASA by 6%. This in itself is a very, very good development because this is a low-cost CASA base, one of our number one objectives. So this is shaping up rather well. And when I look at CASA plus retail deposits, because that in itself is a very important number as well, we have crossed 60% for the first time, and this number, ladies and gentlemen, is now at 61.5%. This quarter gone by was also fairly momentous in many ways because we did our single biggest capital raising in the life cycle of our bank, which has entered its teens. As you know, we are in the first year of our teens. We raised 4,906 crores, equivalent of $750 million, which in rupee terms is the single largest private sector QIP done in our country, India. This is on the back of a very successful 3,000 crore capital raise that we did towards the end of December, an 81 perpetual bond, which, as you know, also qualifies for Tier 1 capital. So 3,000 crores equivalent of $450 billion. So when you add the 750 and 450, we get to pretty much $1.2 billion of core capital raised in the fiscal year 16-17. I will come to some other related statistics, but I do also want to share with you that in digital banking, which has been more or less a level playing field, and the vintage of our bank has not really been such a critical factor. Here too, we have become a market leader, particularly in UPI applications for enabling merchant payments, and we now command a steady market share of 30%, and which is steadily rising. So these are some of the very important, let's say, milestones on our 50th quarter anniversary, if there is anything like that. I get into now some P&L highlights. We recorded a net profit of 914 crores in this quarter, which is a growth of 30.2% over the corresponding period last year. For the year as a whole, our net profit grew by 31.1% to an overall level of 3,330 crores. Our total net income was 2,897 crores in the fourth quarter, representing a growth of 41.7%. For the full year, it was 9,954 crores, which is an increase of 36.8% over the previous year. Net interest income for the quarter was at 1,639 crores, which was an increase of 32.1% over the corresponding quarter last year. And for the year as a whole, NII increased by 26.9% to an overall level of 5,797 crores. This is on the back of strong growth in advances and steady accretion of CASA, which is also resulting in expansion of NIM. NIM expanded to 3.6% for the first time in our life cycle for the fourth quarter, compared to 3.5% in the sequentially preceding quarter, and for the year as a whole stood at 3.4%. As you can also see, our overall ratios, the more important ratios such as ROA, continue to be at fairly strong levels of 1.8%, and our ROE for this quarter was north of 20% at 21.8%. For the year as a whole, we were also able to achieve a steady state ROA of 1.8% compared to 1.7% in the previous year, and the ROE actually for the full year increased to 21.5% compared to 19.9% for fiscal 16. The book value, as a consequence of the QIP, which was consummated and paid in on 31st of March, as well as retained earnings for the quarter, less the proposed dividend recommended by the management and the board, stands at 468.7 rupees. So our book value has accreted quite nicely over the last 1 year to approximately 469 rupees. And management and the board have recommended a dividend of 120% at 12 rupees to celebrate the 12th listing anniversary of the bank, which is almost around the corner on 12th of July this year. The cost-to-income ratio of the bank stood at a fairly healthy level of 41.6%, despite our continued investments in human capital, in technology, as well as in branches. I move on to some of the key balance sheet data. CASA, as I mentioned to you, stands at a 36.3% level, so you can well imagine that we are well ahead of our targets for 2020, which was at 40%. I'm quite hopeful that we will get to 40% in the next 4 quarters or even sooner. Overall, the growth in CASA year on year was at 65.4 5%, one of our best years on overall CASA growth, despite the rising denominator effect of CASA. Within the breakup of CASA, SA and CA grew respectively at 60.6% and 74.7%, which in itself is a very good momentum, and we do hope to maintain this momentum. I did spell out that CASA plus retail FDs at 61.5% represent an increase of over 7%. So we were roughly around 53% last year. Now we are closing 54%. Now we are closing at 61.5%. Advances this quarter over the corresponding period grew by 34.7% to a level of 1,32,000 crores, which we believe is a fairly good growth to achieve in current market conditions. And I do want to highlight that part of this growth is nicely coming through new channels where we have invested under the leadership of our retail head, Pralay Mandal. So core retail actually has grown by 140% on the back of robust growth in both corporate and retail product offerings that we have. The total capital adequacy of the bank, as per Basel III, is fairly strong and robust at 17%, with Tier 1 ratio at 13.3%. And for the interest of some of you, our CET1 stands at 11.4%. I'm also very pleased to share with you that the overall shareholders' funds of the bank, which started with 217 crores 50 quarters ago, is at 22,054 crores as of 31st of March 2017.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/ETNow.